Hey Tenor drummers, in this video I'm going to talk about how to play candy apple pies. Another one? I was going to do a nice, easy, straightforward video today, but I just keep getting request after request for the 2017 Blue Devils tenor solo. So, I guess that's what we're going to do. I've already done a video on the Blue Devils drum feature that year, so if you haven't seen that one yet, be sure to check it out too. So, you want to try another BD lick, huh? Dude, not now. I think I got this one. Oh, really? Okay. You gonna actually get this one up to show tempo this time? Probably not finals week, but maybe early July? Alright, well good luck. Hey, why don't you start doing that like and subscribe thing that everybody does?
Click that subscribe button. Subscribe and leave a comment.
Smash like, subscribe!
Like and subscribe, bye!
Yeah, I don't know. I always think those things are so cheesy. How many subs do you have? Well,
Do it now.
be sure to give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell as well. Alright, let's check this lick out. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab this music over on LotHype.com. Okay, and they actually have two different versions. I'm going to go over the one that says 2017 quad feature. For the most part, this doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's at 180, so it's still pretty fast. And then we have a... What the f***? What does that even mean? Is he still here? What was that? Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this lick. Now there are two different transcriptions on LotHype, and I prefer the one that says 2017 quad feature. One drawback is they wrote the crosses as regular notes with a plus sign above them. So normally I like to see the parentheses or a circle around it. I think it's a little easier, but this one does have a plus sign above the note to indicate a cross. And again, the dash or like minus sign above a note, that is to indicate a small accent, so not a full accent, but, you know, kind of a medium accent. All right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, just glancing down the page here, we basically start off with some eighth notes, and then we go into triplets. And there's kind of a lot of that eighth note to triplet feel. So, of course, you're going to practice this on one drum first, and make sure you're getting those subdivision changes down perfectly with your metronome. I suggest taking out the drags, the doubles, and just play the straight check. So you're playing eighth notes and then straight triplets. And then once you get comfortable with that and locked in with your metronome, then go ahead and add the drags back in. See, glancing down, then we have a ninelet section, kind of starting on measure 4, which has these half note triplets, which are basically, those triplets are the check pattern for the accents on the ninelets. So you can see the ninelets have an accent on the first of each group of 3 notes. So those accents correspond with the half note triplets that you play in measure 4. Okay, so that gives us a nice check. Then in measure 7, we have a little septuplet pattern over 3 eighth notes, which is pretty tricky. So we'll spend some time on that one. And then the last line here, we have, again, basically the eighth note to triplet feel, but it has a bunch of sweeps doing a big butterfly motion. So we'll definitely focus on that too to make sure we're not going to hit any rims on those patterns. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. First, let's play it on one drum and then we'll take a look at the around pattern. Alright, so starting on measure 1, we basically have some eighth notes with a couple drags. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Not too bad. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we go into a triplet feel for measure 2. Triplet, triplet, triplet. Okay, and we have that accent on the second partial of count 4. And then we rest for that last triplet partial at the end of the measure. Okay. Measure 3, we do 2 eighth notes with drags into 2 counts of triplets and then back into eighth notes. This is left lead. So 1 and 2. Okay? So now let's go ahead and take a look at that around pattern. Measure 1, we start on the low shot drum, and then we go down to drum 2 with a cross on drum 2, and then drag on drum 3, release with our right on drum 3. Those are the first 2 counts. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? And on drum 3, that drag, try to give it a little bit of an accent there. All right, and then from there we do 3 and 4 and. Okay, 3 and 4 and. So that whole measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then we release on the high shot. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Second measure, we have triplets here. Starting on the high shot drum, triplet, taking out the drags, triplet, trip. All right, so count 2. We actually have a cross there. It's kind of a weird cross, but it makes sense once you finish out the count. So triplet 2, putting the drags in. And then count 2, we start with our left cross, and then we do some sweeps here. So right goes from drum 1 to 3, and then left 1 to 2. So triplet, and then we release on drum 3. Okay, so triplet. All right, moving on, count 3, we do triplet. And so we have a sweep on that third partial from drum 2 to drum 1, slightly accented. And then we come back the other way with our left hand on count 4. So those last 2 counts of measure 2 is triplet, triplet. And then we rest on that last partial. All right, so let's try all of measure 2. It's not too bad. Let's put it together with measure 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and make sure with your metronome, which we'll turn on in just a minute here, that you're going from eighth notes right into those triplets as soon as measure 2 starts. So measure 3, we start on drum 2 with the left lead, and we do some drags there, 1 and then our triplet pattern here, we're basically going to bring our right hand over here and do some sweeps, and our left hand is going to move from the high shot to drum 3. So it's going to be triplet, triplet, 4. All right, but with drags with the left hand as well. Triplet, triplet, 4, and we end with a shot on the low shot drum. Rim shot on the low shot drum. All right, so 1 and triplet, triplet, 4, and. Okay. And on these sweeps, make sure you're attacking straight down. You don't want to come in at an angle here. You want to, of course, always approach sweeps straight down so you avoid hitting rims there. Let's go ahead and turn on the metronome. I'm going to do 100 beats per minute, and let's do that top line. Here we go. 1, 2. One, 2. So the second line is our ninelet section, and they really set us up for success by putting these half note triplets in on measure 4. So basically those rim shots, which just your right hand stays on drum 1, your left hand alternates between the 2 shot drums. So triplet, triplet. Now the tendency here is going to be to rush these, especially at 100 beats per minute. You're going to want to rush these a little bit. So make sure you hold back and make sure the checkpoint here is count 3. So you want to make sure that third shot, which we're over here, so it's triplet right there. You want to make sure that one lines up perfectly with your metronome. Okay, and then we're going to use that same kind of checkpoint when we're actually playing the ninelets too. Okay, so again, the round pattern is just triplet, triplet, and then we release with the left on drum 2. So let's try it with the metronome. Just that one metronome. Just that one measure. 1, 2. Here we go. 2. Ready. Go. All right, see how that feels? It's a 3/2 feel. Okay, 1, 2. All right, and so now let's just play this on one drum. I want you to play the measure 4 and then into measure 5, and it's just alternating ninelets. Okay, so again, we have slight accents on the first of each group of 3 notes, and those accents line up with the shots that we were playing. Okay, that's all the same speed. So you can kind of keep those rim shots going in your head and just fill in the notes in between. There we go. 1, 2. All right, so see how that right hand on count 3 lines up perfectly with the metronome. And again, probably the tendency is to rush these ninelets, so make sure you hold them back. At least that's what I'm doing. Is I'm rushing them most of the time. So trying to really hold back and stay locked in with the metronome. Here we go. 1, 2. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the round pattern now for that measure 5. So it's a fun little pattern. I like this one. It's not too bad. So we go left on drum 2 up to drum 1. And then we're going to cross to drum 2 for that second group of 3 notes. And then back with our left hand on drum 2. So it's not too bad. And then we kind of do a similar thing down on drum 3 and drum 1. And then, of course, we stop the ninelet early for that at the very end of the measure there. So not too bad. So let's go ahead and try that with the round pattern with the metronome. We'll do measures 4 and 5. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Here we go. 2, and 1, 2. All right. Now, measure 6 here. We are over on drum 4. We're starting left lead. Again, we have accents on the beginning of each group of 3 notes, so that helps. And we do, that's our first group of 3. Just left on drum 4, right on drum 2. Then we move the right hand up to the low shot drum, and left hand stays on drum 4. So, and then for that last group of 3, we bring the left hand up to drum 2. So we have, and then we release crossed. Okay. That second half of measure 6, we're crossed, come up to drum 2, and then cross on drum 2, 2 notes on drum 4, and then we basically have kind of a 16th note feel going down the drums. So the way those are related to the ninelets, if you were to think of the ninelet notes as triplets, then those last 4 notes are basically 16th notes. Okay, so it's kind of weird, but you'll get it once you get used to it. So we have, so let's go ahead and try that whole second line with the metronome. And 1, 2, ready, go. 2, and 1, 2, here we go. So now, measure 7 is a pretty tricky measure here. We have a septuplet over 3/8 notes. So if you haven't already watched my septuplet video, go ahead and check that out real quick. I do cover this sticking as well in there. So basically, we have the downbeat of 1 is down on drum 4, and then we have right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Okay? You want to make sure that all those notes are perfectly spaced. Everything gets the same amount of time, so it's 7 even notes. Okay? And basically the sixtuplet starts on the and of 3. So I think the easiest way to kind of figure out how fast to play that septuplet is to remove it. We're just going to play the downbeat of it, count 2, and then we're going to come in with the sextuplet on the and of 3 and finish out the measure. And that'll just give us a chance to kind of get an idea of how much space those 3 eighth notes occupy. So I'm going to add the eighth notes onto the metronome, and let's go ahead and give it a shot. Alright, so we're going to do it like this. We're going to do 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so now that we got that down, let's go ahead and try to add those 7 notes, well, those other 6 notes in there. And you might have to play around, you're probably going to be too fast or too slow, so just keep adjusting until it's nice and smooth and you start that sextuplet right on the and of 3. Let's alternate. Let's play it without the septuplet, with the septuplet. Without, with. Alright? 2, ready, go. 2, ready, go. Alright. As you can see, that's very odd. I've never seen that before, but hey, it's possible. We just figured it out, so all it takes is a little bit of practice. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the voicing. So we start on drum 4, and then the septuplet, we have the right hand going on drum 1, and then it does a little sweep from drum 2 to drum 1. The left hand just stays on the low shot. So we have with a release down on drum 3. So 1. Then the paradiddle diddle sextuplet is just paradiddle diddle release on drum 1. And then the downbeat of the next measure is on drum 2 with a left. So let's go ahead and put the metronome on for that. 1, 2, and here we go. 2, here we go. So the last line is very similar to the first line. You have an eighth note or 16th note pattern into triplets, sextuplets, and kind of back and forth. So, of course, you're going to want to make sure that you get those subdivisions perfectly in time with your metronome. As soon as count 2 hits, you're in sextuplet mode. As soon as count 3 hits, you're back to 16th notes, okay? So, you can break it down with a check, just 1 and triplet. But it's all doubles, so make sure you get those nice in time and you get some nice strong doubles out of those. Alright, as far as the around pattern, we have a big butterfly motion here, lots of sweeps. Basically everything's a sweep until we finish it out with a paradiddle ditto. So let's take a look. So we start left lead, going up to drum 1 from drum 2. And then our right hand is crossed, doing the same thing. And then we are down on drum 3, going up to drum 1. So triplet. So each hand goes up from drum 3 to drum 1. The last one is a left cross. And then we do a very similar thing down on drum 4 and 2. So we have 3 E and then another triplet. So we start crossed on drum 4 up to drum 2, and then we're back over on drum 3 to drum 1. Alright, so let's try just that measure with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright. So not too bad, but here, of course, you want to make sure that you're approaching all these sweeps with a downward motion. It's very easy when doing this kind of pattern to come down at an angle, get a nice slice going on, and that's a sure way to hit a rim. All right, so you want to make sure everything is approached perfectly down and that's going to give you the best chance of not hitting a rim. Okay, so I think especially on here, this note on the downbeat of 2, that's one of the ones that you're going to want to make sure. Really, all those you want to make sure you come straight down because it's very easy to come in at an angle. Okay, especially when we start bringing up the tempo. All right, so let's move on. We are almost done. Let's check out the last measure. So we start on drum 2 with our left hand, and we're still in triplets or sextuplets. So very similar to the beginning of measure 8, just triplet pattern this time. Triplet, and then we do a paradiddle diddle up the drums to the high shot, and a little mute skank on drum 4. So we have. Let's go ahead and try those last 2 measures with the metronome. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Here we go. 1, 2, and ready, go. 1, 2, and ready, go. All right, so not bad. And another thing, when you're playing all these sweeps and everything, especially these slower tempos, make sure you're hanging on with those back hands. That's really going to help your sound quality, because the last thing you want is, drags or diddles that are kind of like that, where the second note is very weak. You want to play from the back of the hand, keep those back fingers on, and you'll get nice, full-sounding doubles, okay? And, of course, it'll help you not only with the sound quality, but also with your control and placement and avoid hitting rims and all that good stuff. Okay, so play from the back of the hand, keep those fingers on. All right, so we made it through. Let's go ahead and do a couple runs of the entire thing. Of course, any sections that are giving you trouble, go back and focus on those, break them down, play them on one drum, do the check pattern, anything you need to do to make sure you're perfectly locked in with your metronome, playing with good sound quality and all that fun stuff. All right, let's go ahead and do a couple runs here. Still at 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, here's 110 beats per minute. Here we go. 1, 2, and. Here's 120 beats per minute. 1, 2. Here's 130 beats per minute. We're getting a little faster here, so make sure you're staying relaxed. Don't freak out, and just make sure you're playing with the same quality technique that you were doing at the slower tempos. Here we go. 1, 2. Here's 140 beats per minute. 1, 2, and. Here's 150 beats per minute. Make sure you're keeping those drags open and not crushing them. Here we go. 1, 2. Hey Tenor Drummer, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to find out more, head on over to thetenordrummer.com where I have courses, lessons, and everything you need to know about tenor drumming. And if there's a lick, rudiment, or technique that you want to learn, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me on the contact page. I'll see you on the next video.